This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran, and the story that leads today's shows are as follows: the Amazon S3 meltdown, amazing images, and something I've never seen before, the Alexa camera, rumor, Bitcoin boom when a Bitcoin's worth more than an ounce of gold. That's pretty exciting. The big NASA software giveaway, plus, of course, all of the news of the day. I want to welcome you to episode 1181 of the Geek News Central podcast for Thursday, March 2nd. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Of course, we want you to support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider or simply paypal.me/geeknews. You can pick up Ohana gear at cafepress.com/Ohana store. I want to give a warm welcome to new listeners and viewers, and of course, even more fantastic welcome back to all of our longtime Ohana. Of course, Ohana in Hawaiian means family. Welcome to the show. Got a great show lined up for you today. And again, for those of you that are brand new to the podcast, what we really want you to do, and to see if this button works, I want you to go over to geeknewscentral.com, and right on the right-hand column of the website, you're going to see the ability to subscribe via iTunes on Android, via email, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, via an RSS feed, and you have no idea what I'm talking about. Just click the more subscription options. And of course, just get hooked up with the website. Lots of great content on the website. So my writers are over there every day putting stuff up. But really, the best thing to do is get connected with the show. That way, you'll never miss a single episode of the podcast by being subscribed directly to it. There's a newsletter link on the website as well. And if you want to sign up for that, that's great. That'll get you the show notes delivered directly to your inbox via email immediately following the show, so that you'll have the history of all the fantastic stuff I'm going to talk about today. Because I'm going to tell you, on every show, there's always a gem or two. Of course, if you have comments on today's show, you can email geeknews@gmail.com. And you want to reach me on Twitter, that's possible as well by reaching out at Geek News. Join our Slack channel. That's the private Geek News Central Slack channel with all the Ohana in it. Just send me an email and say you want to be part of the Slack channel, and basically provide me an email address to send you an invite, and we'll do that. You can follow me on Google Plus or on Facebook. You can watch the show on the Roku via the Tech Podcast channel, on the Apple TV via the Geek News Central podcast video feed. Of course, you can listen on the Amazon Echo by telling Alexa to play the latest edition and then say the show's name. You can listen on Stitcher, watch review on Blueberry.com, or tell Google Home. You can say, "Okay, Google," and then play the podcast, and then this show's name. I don't dare say it because Google's listening right now here, right on this table. Yeah, I know you don't understand, Google. That's okay. I didn't give you the keyword to launch the show. But anyway, everyone, thanks. Welcome to the show. Of course, our partner shows, No Better Than Average with Jacob and Jeff. We've got the Gadget Professor, Mr. Don Bain, the Pro Gear site with the GNC team writer. And of course, this would not at all be possible without a long-time sponsor, GoDaddy.com. Matter of fact, they've been sponsoring this single podcast the longest of any podcast, or actually, they are the longest continuous running sponsor of any podcast in the universe, at least in this dimension. So definitely get over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And really, all those codes for March are the same ones as February. 30% off on new product purchases, 99cent.coms, one free month of GoDaddy website builder, $1 a month economy hosting, $1 a month managed WordPress hosting, and those two last hosting deals come in with a free domain. So for $12, you get a managed WordPress site and a free domain to get you started, whether it be blogging, podcasting, whatever it may be. So we definitely want you to get over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Check out all those deals, share the codes, share the link, use social media to help me out, drive traffic to that page. Tell your friends, family members, people that you know, anyone that's getting ready to start a website. If you hear a whisper of it, this is the place to go. GoDaddy's been here for 12 years taking care of you. and taking care of me, keeping the lights on, keeping the family fed, keep the car gas in the car. And believe me, in this day and age, that's important. But again, thanks to GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to hook up with Chris while I was in Florida, but her and I are getting scheduled to. We need to make a schedule to do a call, and her and I, and of course, Chris. For those of you who've been around for a while, she was the original rep at GoDaddy that reached out and got this show started, and really was the catalyst for everything that has come since. And a lot of indebtedness in my heart to her, and of course the entire GoDaddy family. So definitely check out all the deals. We want you to use our codes. That keeps the sponsor happy, and again keeps things going on here. All right, just want to go into the what has been going on, and I've got a lot to share, and I don't want to spend a lot of time doing it, but I think it's important that I get you all caught up. This is Ohana time, and for those of you that are brand new to the show, I always spend 10, maybe 15 minutes, sometimes 20, kind of just chit-chatting. So if you want to go straight to the tech, it to be about the 15-minute mark. But I got a lot of great tech content tonight, but this show is more than a tech show, and for many of you that have been here many years, thank you for indulging me when we talk a little bit. But flew out last, oh my God, was it Tuesday night or Monday night? I don't even remember now. But anyway, got into Tampa, hung out with my daughter, hung out with her fiance, went to dinner, had a lot of time to chit chat, talked about the wedding dress, just on. I mean, it was a great visit. Found out what her new company she's working with and what she's doing. And if you're in the Florida area and you go into a Macy's, and for the ladies that listen to the show, and I'll get the name of the new line, but they're doing a pop-up store. They're launching a new clothing line in Macy's that she basically is managing, and she's got a bunch of gals that work for her. Really exciting stuff. So this is as she said, this is an opportunity. And she was working at Kate Spade in Tampa, and was doing very, very well. And when she left Kate Spade, she took some of her team came along with her. But anyway, I get the name, and as my daughter said, the product line's 800. So anyway, I'll have that link or have some information for you on a further show. But I had a fantastic time with her, and we got to spend about 24 hours together, which was really not enough. But they've done just an amazing job with their cute little apartment and their dog, and it was really, really, really good. And her and I have a relationship that we can just kind of share everything, and I think that's good for any daughter-father relationship. And so we covered a lot of topics, but had a great time. Then I left Tampa, drove to Orlando, and I'm going to tell you, I haven't drove in Florida in years, but there's some serious idiots on the road in Florida. I think I saw no less than like 6 wrecks. What would have been normally like a 90-minute roll from Tampa to Orlando turned into 2.5. It seems like there was a crash every 10 miles. I was astounded. I really was. And I thought drivers in Hawaii were a little aggressive, but you'll all be some daredevils. And I don't think, I'm going to have to rank Orlando drivers about Houston and Atlanta, kind of in between. Atlanta, they drive fast and usually pretty safe. Houston, you just have to, you turn out on a corner, you better be foot all the way into the accelerator, because if you're not, you're going to get sideswiped or rear-ended. Orlando, people were just like, they just went where they went. No road rules. I mean, I was like at a turnaround, and had my blinker on. I was waiting my turn, and some guy just like dashed in between, and I was like, of course, I probably used a few choice words, but I don't get it. But we were in Orlando for Podfest 17, and had a great time meeting brand new podcasters. There was probably 250, 300 podcasters at the event, and about 90% of them were brand new. So this was an event I absolutely loved. From a perspective, we got to talk to a lot of new people, a lot of people that are excited about creating content. We had a big surge of people signing up for services this week, with a lot of those folks coming on, and I know Mike, my support guy, is going to have his hands full making sure they get going. But had a really good event. It was that event was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I actually got an award on Saturday. And I won't go into the details, but I forget what he called this award, but it because of my podcast, and there's a story related to the show that many of you have heard on this show before. So I got to share that with the audience, and in relation to Steve Jobs. And so because of my podcast, so I got this nice little, and it was a tongue-in-cheek type of award ceremony. So the trophies I kind of have to giggle at a little bit, but they did a nice job for the first ever. So the audience cheered when I basically shared my story. But anyway, long story short, had a good time at Podfest 2017. Rob Greenlee and I will be dissecting the entire event tomorrow, or actually Saturday, on the new media show. Then immediately following that, we wrapped up Saturday afternoon. My team was flying in, so Jeff out of New York, Barry was with me already. He's wintering over in Florida, and he's got a Class 1 beautiful travel trailer. He wasn't driving that, but came up, and then Angelo and Brian came in from Ohio, and we basically did our weekend that we normally do, where we strategize and go through about 300 line items of things that, what did we do good? What did we do bad? What do we need to improve on? What are the, things for this year? So I'm really excited. We spent 2 full days. I mean, 2 absolutely full, 12 to 15 hours a day, making those plans and getting everything done. I went out to dinner a couple of times, had a good time. Probably the best meal I had in Orlando came from Landry's. I'm a big fan of their chain. Had seafood there. It was decent, good price. Wasn't like crazy. We went to a couple other places that were a little higher end. The fish night that we had, and I'll have to get the name of the place. Oh my goodness! It was, oh my goodness. Oh no, it was really, really good. So, but anyway, that kind of wrapped up, and then Angela and Barry stayed. We went over to the next convention center because Proclaim 17, which just finished today, they took care of that event Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Angela flew back this afternoon. Barry went back to being his snowbird and enjoying the Florida weather. But so busy week for my team, and lots of crazy stuff to come. Now, on my way back, I worked on taxes all the way back. I'm 99.9% done with my business taxes. I have to just kind of now massage and make sure everything is, making sure 1 + 1 = 2, -2 = 0, those types of things. So I got that all done. But I'll be honest with you, I was hunched over the computer for many hours on the flight back, and I walked off the airplane like limping because my back hurt so bad. So I went and saw the shiatsu guy yesterday, and he put a hurting on me in a big way. But I'll be honest with you, my gym routine got destroyed. So I'm like 7 days not having gone to the gym, and it sucks. I was in the mode, so tomorrow I'll be back at it. But one thing I just want to tell you guys, my TriCaster that runs the video part of the show, it's acting a fool. There is something wrong. So I got the backup TriCaster that is the mini, but maybe not all the cable hookups to do everything I want to do, especially when I'm doing the show with Rob, and it's really critical. But I think this thing has got to go to the shop. There's something wrong. When it gets up and running, it's fine, but it's like 5 boots to make it happen. It wants to reboot on itself, shut down on itself. So I don't know what the story is, but I'm like praying this thing doesn't collapse on me tonight. But it has to go to the shop. So maybe we'll be doing some audio-only shows. I maybe have no choice. Crazy weather here in Hawaii, raining like cats and dogs. I think we've gotten 3-4 inches here at the house alone. It's just stupid crazy. Less than an hour ago, it was just simply pouring, and now it's quiet up there. Not even a drizzle. But flash flood warnings and all kinds of stuff here. All right, last thing before we get into content. I know I've went a long time here tonight just talking about stuff, catching you guys up. And again, thank you for being patient and allowing me to be off for 2 shows. I've made the decision. It's time to hire an assistant. I put a post up on Facebook yesterday. Had a number of the Ohana actually immediately reply, and I'll be getting back to you. And I'm definitely here's my what I'm looking for. And it's not a full-time gig. It's probably going to be 10, 12 hours a month, maybe more, depending on what's going on. But I'm really looking for someone to assist with social, help me with booking for the Podcast Legends show, help me do show prep for this show, when it's times to help with CES planning. And this is something that's going to be a criteria. I want whoever becomes the assistant to be able to go to Vegas with me for CES and be there to be part of the 3-man team that I will take back next year, to basically do all the social media stuff and really kind of be my running assistant. So and I want a really good tight relationship with that person. I want someone I can work with. So I'm going to be doing some interviews and talking with the folks that have already applied. But if you want to throw your hat in the ring, please let me know. I really at this point just need help. I'm just buried. I'm up to here with everything going on, and I don't want this piece, Geek News Central and everything that we do with Podcast Wars and all that, to slack off. And we got some great plans for the Podcast Wars. Actually, I was talking to a lot of folks at the PodFest event, and Pod Vader from Blog Talk Radio, he gave me a brilliant, absolutely brilliant idea. He said he'd shared it with me before. I don't know how I missed it. I cannot wait to share it with all of you. I'm at this point, and my lip is sealed, but I was telling my mom about it today, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's just an amazing idea." So the site is in rebuild. I'm excited about that, and I'm getting my first look at it here, hopefully in about the next week. But lots of cool things going on in the pipeline. I know. It's time to move on, right? Get into the tech. But as you can tell, I'm pumped up. I'm energized. It's good. And the piles will get smaller around here as I get caught up. But lots of things coming. Lots and lots and lots of things coming. So anyway, everyone, welcome to the show. And thank you for being here and tuning in. I got a good stack of stuff for you tonight. I mean, it's like, I was like, wow. The first few articles that I found blew me away. And those of you that are on YouTube, the stream might be a little jacked. So come to facebook.com/Cochran and come over and watch on Facebook. That doesn't seem to be suffering any speed degradation, but I can tell that we're having a little slowdown on YouTube for those of you on YouTube. All right, so let me go ahead here and load the stack, as I always say. And I want to talk first thing about the S3 meltdown that happened when I was getting on an airplane. So I landed in San Francisco, and I turned on my phone, and of course we use Slack, my team does, and all of a sudden I'm getting reports that there's some internet issues, specifically with our service. And our service, the way we set up our platform, is that we have a big content delivery network that is a national content delivery network. A lot of our infrastructure for our, dozens of servers are on Amazon EC2. A lot of our storage is on Amazon S3. So, we've come up with this robust plan of backups and fail safes and everything else. And, one thing that we've watched, and I asked, matter of fact, it's ironic, and I probably the responsible one. I asked Angelo a few months ago. I'm like, okay, we're on S3. That's where when people upload media to us, where it goes to rest, and then the CDN picks it up and puts it in the cloud for distribution. I'm like, what happens if S3 goes down? And Angelo says, well, S3's never went down. And I'm like, huh? It's never went. And they said, maybe for a few minutes. They've never had a big outage. So when you're planning something as a business owner, you're kind of like, 5 years, no outage. Do I spend tens of thousands of dollars a month to duplicate my storage effort? Because we're dealing now with, you know, terabytes of storage for, all of our clients that upload media to us. And what happens is the CDN will grab that media file and it'll be cached for 30 days. And then after 30 days, if no one's made a request for it, it's dropped out of the cache on the CDN and it sits back on S3 until someone requests again. The CDN picks it up and caches it for 30 days. And it's been beautiful. High performance, works great. We don't serve really any media to via S3. The CDN just picks it up out of there and puts it in the cache. And so, did I decide to dual cache? And have two big, huge buckets and incurring, tens of thousands of dollars of additional cost every month in order to have that. And calculated risk, right? Well, the chickens come to roost at some point, and S3 went down. Well, it didn't just go down for me, it went down for everybody. And the number one region, the U.S. East 1 facility in Virginia, collapsed because some guy that works at Amazon was bringing some of their billing systems offline for some maintenance or something to that effect. And instead of bringing down, 100 servers, he apparently brought down a huge stack. And within that stack was the one that controlled the mapping, the metadata, to map where all these millions and trillions of files are in the system, so that when we go out and we do a reach into a bucket, it knows where to send what box or what network path the bucket is to pull that file out of. Now it's an IT miracle that it works in the first place, right? And he sent a command line and shut it down. Well, the whole internet melt down. Anyone that stores images in S3, anyone that has apps, data that, this is like critical, super critical infrastructure. And again, it's never went down in 5 years, or if it did, it went down for a couple minutes. They said there was $310 million worth of commerce lost in the 2 to 3 hours that S3 was rebooting itself. And so this went down as I'm landing in San Francisco. And I'm like, huh? And I call Angelo up. I said, what do we do? And he says the words that I never, ever really wanted to hear. There's nothing we can do. I'm like, what? What do you mean there's nothing we can do? He says, there's nothing we can do. And I'm like, can we start? Because we also have everything in cold storage. So we have everything backed up in S3 and we put everything in cold storage for the day that, some hard drive or multiple hard drives blow and we lose, or Amazon loses. At least I've got everything in cold storage. He says, the cold storage stuff takes a long time to recover. And he says, it's all good. The cold storage is up there. It's good, but you want me to initiate a recall of all the data out of cold storage into another data center? He says, I can do that. He says, but it's going to take a couple of days. And I'm like, what? So he said, breathe. It's not just us. And it's only uploading. Everything else is working. The media is being delivered. Stats are still good. All our fail safes are working from a infrastructure standpoint. The only thing is S3's down. And so I was like, biting my nails. At a couple hour layover in San Francisco, and by the time I get on the airplane and we started, obviously customers started calling and getting a few tickets, and everyone was pretty cool. Our customers were like, okay, we'll be back in a couple hours. We'll try it again. And I was like ready for this onslaught of thermonuclear meltdown, and it really didn't happen. So needless to say, we're going to have a meeting. And I I don't like having my stress level equal 1,000. And we're going to come up with a strategy to essentially guarantee that even though maybe the bulk of the older archive is maybe not, and again, stuff that's 2, 3, 5, 6 years old, that's stuff that's sitting there that doesn't get tasked very much. If I don't, maybe I don't have to have that. It has to be in cold storage and it has to be on the front line of S3 normally, but maybe I can take that other stack, that other layer, that 1 to 2 years of media data that's getting, maybe getting cached or pulled up all the time. We can have a sub layer of additional storage. So we're talking with our, matter of fact, we've already initiated discussions with our CDN, and I say, yeah, we can build a bridge in between, so that essentially all the most new stuff is always there. And if there's ever a failure before, you just guys click a button in your system. Instead of it going initially to the S3, it comes up to the secondary cloud and will sync backwards after the event's over. Something, okay, that's cool. Code her up. Let's go. But it's an additional cost, because you pay pennies per gigabyte. But when you're talking multi terabytes of data, it's an additional expense. But I just like, this has happened once in 5 years, but I don't want it to happen again. We got lucky. They came back in 4 hours. If they had still been down today, I'd probably wouldn't be here. I'd be a puddle on the floor, and I'm sure the customers would at this point be, well, we'd already put in a fix, obviously, but, it was just a few hours of outage, but we weren't the only one. So good lesson learned. And sometimes it takes one of these events to make you go, what can we do additionally to, mitigate? It's going to cut into my bottom line, but I build a service and it has to work all the time. And even if it was only affected just the new customers uploading a few pieces of media, and I don't want it to happen again. But anyway, one code line mistake dropped just made things melt down at Amazon. So, command line mistake by a senior engineer, and it was mayhem. And you probably all saw it on the internet. You were using Slack or using, trying to go on Netflix, and some people work, some people didn't. So every time there's an outage like this in the cloud, you kind of learn, and you have to adjust and make changes. So that's what we're going to do. All right, I want to talk about this article on Wired, and the only way I can really show this to you is I've got to, and for those of you listening, I'll do my best here to describe this. I have never seen an image like this. This gentleman is taking. Okay, so many of you know what infrared is. In IR, it basically is a black and white image from a infrared turret that will build. It basically shows everything through heat density. The hotter an object is, like a human body would be pure white, whereas maybe a road would show up as black. A roof would show up as black, but depending on the temperature of an area, there's this variance is what infrared does to. We've all seen infrared on TV where they've had like car chases and that kind of stuff. You see the guy running around in the field. He thinks he's hiding, but the big eye in the sky is looking at him. This guy set up some sort of a camera that looks to me like it's a little bit infrared, but it's something completely different. And I'm going to tell you, every one of you that listen to the show needs to go look at this image. It's remarkable. So let me bring it up, and let me show you what happens when you hover over the top of this. I hope those of you that are watching can actually see what I'm doing here. And there is detail really unlike anything I've seen. I'm used to seeing infrared images. This is not something that is new to me, but I've never seen a composite infrared picture put together of hundreds of thousands of slices that when you hover your mouse over the pixels, and I know that you watching cannot see the full detail here, and I just clicked on, what did I do? Let me refresh this. This really is unlike, oh, come on. All right, let me bring you back here while I try to reload this page. This is really unlike anything I've ever seen before. And he's basically highlighting refugee camps. And he goes to a variety of refugee camps and take pictures, and it shows the tents and the feeding areas and all this other stuff. But they say it takes about 8 hours to do this image, and then hundreds of, like 100 hours just to compile it. I think once you see it, you're going to be as amazed as I am. And I'm really serious. And any of you guys that are military guys that have worked with turrets before will know that this is very unusual. He's in this actual camera is called a thermal radiation camera, and it actually has export controls. He has to ask permission by the government to actually take it out of the country because it employs technology that is typically used in surveillance and warfare. But I don't think I've ever seen a still picture that is using a thermal radiation camera. And the detail on this is it's just amazing. So what I want you guys to think about here when you go and look at this image is that normally where I'm hovering and I'm basically walking my mouse across this mosaic, you can see details of trees, walls, tents, people walking around, people standing in food lines. You would normally see this on an infrared camera on like a turret, and people would be walking around. This would be real time, and you'd be focused in tight and moving around. And this is almost like, except this is still. There's no one moving. I just be honest with you. It's one of those things that wowed me, and it takes a lot for some sort of an image to wow me these days. And when you see this, and there's a couple of images, and he's imaged over 300 camps. This is cool. And the gentleman that shot this says the camera is classified as a weapon under the International Traffic in Arms regulations. And again, before he travels beyond the European Union with it, he often works with a lawyer to obtain an export license for it. And he's visited, they said, 50 refugee camps and taken these images. It's truly an amazing. For those of you that are listening, I'm just telling you, this is the one to go to today in the show notes. If you don't go to any other article and look at this, you'll be doing yourself truly a disfavor. So anyway, it's just a remarkable image. All right, it's moving on here. There's a rumor that Amazon may be making an Alexa camera. We all know that the Amazon Echo's virtual voice assistant is really a great listener, except for when S3's down. But now a new report suggests that they may be coming out with a product to keep an eye on the home as well. The scoop comes in the form of a picture of an Amazon-branded security camera that AFTV News reportedly found sitting on Amazon.com. The small freestanding design is similar to products like Nest Cam or the Canary Flex, but its blue ring around the lens, reminiscent of the blue ring on top of the Amazon Echo, are raising eyebrows. So we'll see if at some point there is going to be an Alexa security system. Makes kind of sense, right? She's in the house listening at all times, right? Unless the crook cuts the internet cable to your home, which oftentimes they do these days. So anyway, very, very cool. Rumor control. Also, if you bought any Bitcoins, the exchange price of one Bitcoin rose from $33.36 in the beginning to $1,263.72. And according to CoinDesk, Bitcoin's price index, an ounce of gold today costs $1,233.30. So now a Bitcoin is worth more than an ounce of gold. So if you bought Bitcoins in the early days, are you selling any? How many of you bought at $33? How many of you wish right now you'd have bought at $33? Or just in the last couple of years, it's come up a lot. So very, very cool. If you're willing to kind of play around in this, watch the price of Bitcoin. It might be an investment strategy for you. When those of us that live here in the United States, and I know we have listeners from around the world, and I don't know if it's the case in your countries as well, but the government basically, when they have government agencies write code, there is a requirement in the government that if it's not tied to national security or something like that, the government has some rules that basically allows free access and exchange to technology and software. So NASA has released a software catalog granting the public free access to tech for earthly applications. This 2017-2018 software catalog offers an extensive portfolio of software products for a wide variety of technical applications, all free of charge to the public without any royalty or copyright fees. It's available both in hard copy and online. And this is the third edition of the publication. And so basically, they bring all this in, and they say, okay, what can we exchange? One of the things the new NASA software catalog includes is called Lewis. It helps develop the study the effects of ice on aircraft in flight and to help create detection systems. So it's all from the super high techy all the way to maybe stuff that's running their website. So it's exciting stuff. I love to see the transfer of technology back to the taxpayers and the companies to be able to utilize this code. So if you're starting a business, and there's lots, of course, millions and billions of lines of code that are out there under a variety of different licensing schemes. But you can definitely check the software catalog at software.nasa.gov and go through it. So this is exciting to me to see the technology transfer program that NASA's implemented in. A lot of government agencies do, but a lot of people really don't know a lot about. All right, switching up gears here just quite a little bit. In Austin, Texas, love Austin. Of course, South by Southwest is getting ready to start without some controversy. Some bands are concerned based on some of the licensing stuff going on. But a team of engineers led by a 94-year-old professor by the name of John Goodenow. He's the one that basically invented the lithium-ion battery. He's a co-inventor of it. Has developed what they're calling, along with some other scientists, has developed the first all-solid-state battery cell that could lead to safer, faster charging, longer-lasting rechargeable batteries and for handheld mobile devices, electric cars, and stationary energy storage. This breakthrough, completed with Cockrell School Senior Research Fellow Maria Braga, is a low-cost, all-solid-state battery that is non-combustible and has a long life cycle with a high volumetric energy density and fast rates of charges and discharge. The engineers described their new technology in a recent paper published in the Journal of Energy and Environmental Science. And people are pretty excited about this. Anytime we make batteries smaller, denser, carry more power, and lower the risk, it's all good. It's really, really good. And when you think about this guy, 94 years old, and he's still contributing. 94 years old, and he's helping break through new products. You just have to applaud that, right? I'll be lucky if when I'm 94, I'm not drooling over myself and being able to remember my first name. And here you have this professor who is helping, leading the way in introducing new tech for batteries. It's really, to me, this is exciting. So this is a story over at utexas.edu, and I'll have the link up in the show notes. So those of you that may be alumni of the Cockrell, and I probably pronouncing that wrong, Cockrell School of Engineering at the University of Texas at Austin, congratulations. So we'll see when this makes commercial sense, but it looks like they're pretty far along. Virgin Galactic today has unveiled a spin-off of Virgin Orbit for small satellite launches. So basically, they use a 777 to get a rocket to altitude, drop the rocket, and then can put a 400 to 800 pound satellite into orbit for about $11 million. So, and basically put it in any orbit that they want. So that, those of you that aren't really fully up to speed on orbital insertion, in order to get your satellite in the right orbit, sometimes you have to use more fuel, but they can go wherever they want, get the alignment right, punch it out from anywhere in the world, and launch the rocket. So pretty exciting stuff. They think they can do 10 to 15 launches a year, and again, about $10 to $11 million per flight. So we'll see. But you got to give these private commercial enterprises huge kudos for doing what they do. Hey, there was a pretty cool picture on space.com. It's a satellite photo providing a new perspective. There was a ring of fire solar eclipse. So basically, the solar eclipse happened, and it wasn't a full solar eclipse. It was kind of like one of those half ones, I guess. But they had a satellite facing Earth at the same time that the eclipse, a little bit off center, happened, and they were able to capture it. It looks kind of weird in the image, but I'll have the link at the show notes for you to check that out. Also, there's a video that's associated with that. I think in the specific article, and I'll have that up in the show notes. Or a little bit off the science front, there's a report out that people are not as happy on Facebook as they used to be. I know that I was taking a little bit of a Facebook break and not being on as much. I was visiting the forums that I do, the podcasting forums, and some stuff from retired Navy guys and that kind of stuff. But I was really trying to kind of limit my sanity by staying out of the standard news feed because it was off the hook. But they're seeing a large decline of 35 to 44-year-olds who are basically kind of scaling back. And an adoption by millennials are slower going in than what they were. And they really weigh a lot of it to the stuff that happened during the election and the just absolute insanity and nastiness that happened pre and post and still continues today for some folks. I mean, I unfollowed from didn't unfriend, but I unfollowed a lot of people. And maybe I can start, bringing some of those folks back into the conversation, but it was crazy. So I understand why Facebook is seeing less, people are less satisfied online. I don't want to spoil this for you, but I had one of those eureka moments today and this is an article that was over in CNET. And just for those of you watching, I'll bring this image up for you. Denny's did a tweet. Yes, the pancake place, breakfast place that a lot of people go. I remember going to a lot of Denny's at 3 o'clock in the morning after leaving the clubs and eating after drinking, and then going home and sleeping on all that food. But Denny's did a tweet where they said, zoom in on the syrup. And I looked, and I looked, and I looked, and I zoomed the picture out. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to let you guys go look at the tweet yourself. Brilliant. Brilliant. Bravo, Denny's. I spent a whole minute on this. And I'm not going to spoil it for you. Please don't read the spoilers on the article. But when I got done, I was like, oh my God. Really? Brilliant. Absolutely. So it's true. This made a lot of news. So it's called Zoom In Social Media. And again, you'll have to zoom in on the syrup. And that's all I'm going to say. And it's cool. Whoever thought this one up, that individual deserves a raise. They really, really do. It was that good. All right, if you come into your office or your studio or, flip the computer on in the morning to find that Windows has rebooted itself or maybe in the process of rebooting itself and you're like, because you have to wait for it to boot up. I think we've all been there. I know I've come into the studio here. I get up at 4:30. I'm here in at the desk by 4:45, and the first thing I do is I open the Slack to see what my team on the East Coast is talking about, and I load email. But if the computer's not logged in, if it's sitting here because it's rebooted during the night because it needed to do a software upgrade, I have to log in, and then I have to wait for another 10 minutes or whatever it takes to finish doing its thing. And if you're fed up with this, well, a lot of people are too. And Microsoft is promising to fix the update process after getting a lot of, how should we refer to it? Explicit complaints. I know what that complaint is because they should have, Cortana should have recorded what people said when they came to the computers, because if they reported everything back, someone's ears would have been bleeding. I know they have to do update things, but at least my Mac gives me the opportunity. You want to do this now or you want to do it later? We can do it when you shut down. Often Windows 10 just does it. Everyone at this point on the internet is super sensitive to comments that are being made on articles. And oftentimes a lot of man hours goes into cleaning up folks' nasty comments. But what's going on now is news sites are starting to employ, especially in Norway, they're making people take a simple quiz to basically allow them, if you pass a short multiple choice test, and it's basically questions about the article, you're then allowed to make a comment. So it's kind of smart. It's kind of like you see something, you read 2 paragraphs, and you haven't read the rest of the 5, and you want to go off and you want to leave a comment. Well, no, they don't allow you to do that. So I think it's kind of an interesting way to moderate comments on a news site. So kind of a unique way to go. So I'll give them kudos for that. Hey, you have to just call us. I'm not ever afraid to talk about stuff that happens at GoDaddy, but apparently they had a little bit of problem today with some of their DNS infrastructure. So if you're on GoDaddy and you had any reports of your website not being available, I know that one of my team members said that one of our subsites wasn't available for a little bit today that's on GoDaddy, but I run my DNS not on GoDaddy. I run my DNS somewhere else. So I don't think I was affected by it, but who knows? But GoDaddy did have a little bit of DNS issue. It hurt more folks in the UK more than the United States. But there was a little bit of an issue. They had some sort of a denial of service attack or something or so forth. So, but just goes to show you that robust solutions don't always survive when something goes left. And I'm not a big Chevy fan. Even though I grew up in a family that was a hardcore believe it, buy Chevys, I'm a bigger Ford fan now. And probably the next vehicle I get probably will be a Ford. But Chevy's the first major car company with unlimited LTE data being delivered with the vehicle. So Chevy's latest OnStar LTE plan would be every smartphone user's dream if it wasn't confined to cars. Starting March 3rd, Chevy owners can get unlimited 4G data, including an OnStar Wi-Fi hotspot for $20 a month, prepaid. if you think about this, if you are, I know a lot of you work in your vehicles. Maybe you're a salesperson, tech support guy. I spend a lot of time in my car. My kids are always asking me to turn on my hotspot. But in 14 of Chevy's 2016 models, its MyLink infotainment system is compatible with both Apple CarPlay, and Android. So it allows you to go either way. And but if you buy this plan, you basically get unlimited quote. This is what they're saying: unlimited data from within the vehicle. And if you spend as much time in the car as I do, brilliant. So we'll see if the other car manufacturers follow. But if you're a Chevy fan, this may be an option for you. I've always said that the way adversaries, and I should have took these earlier, so let me do this now. Hang on a second here. I've always said before, what you shouldn't do when you're out and about is you should not pick up a USB stick and stick it in your computer. You also have to be careful on where you're buying electronic components from. There's a report out on the register at theregister.co.uk where they have found IoT devices from a Chinese vendor containing a backdoor that the vendor is refusing to fix. The vulnerability was discovered in almost all devices produced by voice IP specialist DBL Tech and appears to have been purposely built in as a debugging aid, according to researchers at TrustWave. The InfoSec Biz says that it followed a responsible disclosure process, but claims the manufacturer responded only with modifications to its firmware that leave access open. TrustWave claims the vendor then cut off contact with it. The security firm says it has since been able to write exploits that open both the old and new backdoors. The vulnerable firmware is present in almost DBL Tech GSM to voice IP devices, a range of equipment mostly used by small to medium businesses, it claims. TrustWave researchers claim they have found hundreds at risk devices on the internet. So basically, when you tell them that, and that's a term many of you maybe don't know, but this is an old school way of when you were going on BBSs, when they become internet based, you were telnetting into them. When you telnet a device as a DBL admin, the gadget tries to connect to UD port 11,000 on 192.168.2.1, and it grants access. So, easy way to drop malware onto an unsuspecting network. So, if you own anything from DBL, TEK, or you have a chip that's in from that manufacturer, be careful. I keep saying this, that if you're buying electronics from a non-trusted source, and here's the problem. We don't make many chips in the United States anymore. A lot of the chips that are in our computers come from China. And if someone wanted to do something if they wanted to cause problems or be able to backdoor into computers, they could embed stuff that would be open for a backdoor inside of that hardware for a Chinese exploiter. So this is a huge, I can imagine this has to be a huge, huge problem for the government. It has to be a huge issue for companies that are trying to reduce any type of, business espionage. It's just so easy now for, if there's a back door and the vendor's like kind of brushing it off, well, did they leave that to give someone else access into the? Because remember, and don't take this the wrong way, China is a communist state. They are a adversary still to many countries. Sure, we have great economic trade with them, and people, are going back and forth, and a lot of the, our iPhones are being built there, etc. So, and a lot of electronics are being built there. And I'm sure about 90 or 95 or 90, even 98% of the stuff coming back probably has no concerns. But it's that small amount of stuff that a state agency could go to a business that is really has to answer to the state. They're operating under permission by the state because it's not a democracy. And they basically say, hey, we want this back door put in here. Well, they say no, and they're like, okay, we'll shut you down. So be careful what you buy out there, okay? And if you own anything from DBL Tech, I would advise you to unplug it from the internet, unplug it from the wall, and take the thing to the trash and dispose of it. And don't pick any USB sticks up off the street either. Hey, Cricket Unlimited Data Plan price cut. If you use Cricket, if you use a burner phone or have anything from Cricket Wireless, it's confirmed to reduce the price unlimited data plan by $10. The Cricket Unlimited Data Plan is now cost $60 a month. Subscribers can get an additional $10 discount when they add a second line. The discount goes up to $20 with a third line. Okay, this unlimited includes a 22 gigs. So it's really not unlimited. But you can get unlimited data and free calls from the United States, Mexico, Canada, and 38 additional countries. So burner phones are always good if you have that type of international plan to go overseas with. That way you don't have to take your regular phone. You can use a phone that you basically, when you get back, you throw it in a drawer and don't need it any further. So it's an option. So anyway, very, 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 very cool. YouTube wants to sell you TV for $35 a month. I was looking at this list. ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, CW, ESPN, CSN, Fox Sports, FS1, NBC Sports Network, USA, FX, Freeform, Disney, ESPN2, ESPN3, ESPNU, FS2, BTN, SEC, ESPN, Bravo, Oxygen, FX, Sci-Fi, Disney Junior, XD, Universo, CBS Sports Network, ESPN, Golf, National Geographic, MSNBC, Fox News, CNBC, Fox, Local Now, FXM, Sprout, Universal, Nat Geo Wild, Chiller, YouTube Red Originals, and 2 add-on networks, Fox Soccer, Plus, and Showtime. It's missing A&E. It's missing about 2 or 3, but I don't, all these sports channels, I don't need the sports. I really don't. Get rid of all, give me an option to not buy any of the sports. Get rid of all that stuff. Anything in sports, get rid of it. And you're left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me go through here. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. So there's about 30 channels that are non-sports, and then there's 5, 10, like 15 that are. So I don't need the sports, but for $35, pretty big channel light up. Just need a few more there, and it's perfect. But if you're on YouTube, you could be able to get this from YouTube Red here directly. Okay. Sickle cell diseases are really vicious. They're a slow, vicious killer. And most people diagnosed with a blood cell disorder in the U.S. live between to be between 40 and 60. But those years are a lifetime of pain and a lot of trouble. Tissue damage, bouts of agony. But 2 years ago, a French teen, yes, teenager, with sickle cell disease underwent a gene therapy treatment intended to help his red blood cells from sickling. In a published paper Thursday, the research revealed that today half of his red blood cells have normal-shaped hemoglobin, and he has not needed a blood transfusion, which many sickle cell patients receive to reduce complications from the disease, since 3 months after his treatment. He is also off all medicines. Results are early, but very encouraging. So Sickle cell disease affects about 100,000 people in the United States, many of who are African American, and it's inherited a genetic disease caused by a mutation of a single letter in a person's genetic code. Um, so this is exciting. So if you have a family member that has a sickle cell disease, please, please, please share this with them. I don't know if they are going to be, you may have to travel to the UK to get treatment, or to France to get treatment. But man, if this is helping people that much, it's very, very exciting. I know it's early times, but could be relief for people that are really in need of it. All right, an Army drone. Well, they launched a drone, the RQ-7 Shadow, a $1.5 million drone. And mysteriously, 10 days later, it showed up over 600 miles away. Yeah, it took off, but kind of had a mind of its own. And it was only supposed to go like maximum of 30 miles before, coming home to mama. But it's designed to stay within 77 miles of its C-band line of sight data link. With the Rogue RQ-7 traveling over 8 times the distance, investigators are struggling to explain its incredible journey. It did crash into a tree. So data recovered from the free-spirited drone showed it reached an altitude of 12,000 feet, enabling it to soar over the Rocky Mountains. So for some reason, this RQ-7 didn't fly home. So I'm sure they'll be trying to figure out what happened there. So I wonder if they got hacked. That's the question. Hey, those of us that are just average Joes, we could absolutely, most of us, don't have a net worth high enough to be able to get in on initial public offering. Snapchat today launched, and this is where the rich get richer, the banks get richer, and average Joes like us don't have a chance. So they launched on the New York Stock Exchange today after pricing the IPO at $17 per share. And basically, the banks that were front rolling all this, the stock opened at $24, and it closed today at $24.51, a 44% premium to the people who bought it yesterday. Not everybody gets access to Snap IPO price. That's usually reserved for a small group of institutional investors or high net worth individuals. Why? When is this going to change? Where average Joes like you and I, that don't have these multi-million dollars of net worth, are going to be able to start being able to get on some of these initial public offerings and be able to have a chance at a windfall. I'm surprised, really, but a lot of people got rich today over Snap's initial public offering. The key really is to get to, I think the requirement is $1 million. You have to have $1 million in assets or cash flow or something to be able to participate in IPOs. Samsung's leader has been indicted on bribery charges. He was arrested here a week or so ago, and actually 2 weeks ago, but he has been charged. So it looks like this guy is headed towards a trial and maybe jail. We'll see. AMD. I was a big fan of AMD. They're the underdog. They're a chip manufacturer that definitely went head to head with Intel. I own Intel stock for all right purposes. I should wish AMD, the death spiral, but I don't. I've always loved what AMD has done, and they've had some challenges in the past couple of years. Well, AMD has launched the Ryzen RYZEN CPU, and it's an epic comeback. And they saying it almost lives up to the hype, but it delivers an unbeatable price at $499 for the highest Ryzen 7 1800X. And if you're not a gamer, this is going to be a very a very good investment. Again, gamers know, but everyone else, if you're looking for some high performance, it's got some great reviews. I'll have the link up in the show notes for you to check it out. Maybe an option if you're getting ready to replace a couple of computers, especially if you're not gaming. But good job. Good job, AMD. Let's see you get back on your feet and rock it. Casey Neistat, impressive YouTuber, one of a top earner over there, 6.5 million followers. And his company had been bought. Beam had been bought reportedly for $25 million by CNN. And Casey and his team are getting ready to launch a news network for millennials. So it'll be exciting to see what Casey comes up with. But there's a good report on this on the Hollywood Reporter. I'll have a link up in the show notes. If you're a Gmail user and someone outside of Gmail sends you an attachment above 25 megs, Gmail is going to allow you to receive an attachment up to 50 megs. You can still only send up to 25, but you can receive up to 50 megs now. So that might get a few more emails through that may have been caught before. Also, there's a lot of discussion about Apple and its iPad and iPad Pro and where they're going and needing more Pro-type tools for the iPad Pro. So a little discussion on that and maybe what's coming besides music tools. Good luck to, we'll see where Apple falls in on this. I think they're going to have to, do some improvements. Hey, Ford has announced a new delivery service, and it's going to use autonomous vans and drones. So imagine you order something, the Ford vehicle will roll the package up to your location. And if you're I got to turn this off here. If you're 15th floor up, the drone will actually come out of the vehicle, will drop your package at the 15th floor. And basically their goal is to reduce pollution, make delivery faster, having electric vehicles and drones do most of the hard work. So pretty cool what they've got planned. Rollout of 2022 on the Ford fleet. Some folks will say, and when I was a kid, me and a coloring book, I'm not an artist. I've never been, don't claim to be one, and it was pretty obvious from my coloring as a little kid that I was never destined to be this. But my son Chris, on the other hand, I could tell early on when he was coloring in a coloring book that the kid had a big imagination and was doing lots of cool designs, and it was impressive. So I knew that there was a little bit of an artistic flair there. Well, for the past 2 years, not kids' coloring books, but adult coloring books, which I didn't really know existed, have been kind of going down. And so apparently Barnes & Noble is saying that they're seeing less people buying adult coloring books. And be honest with you, I didn't even know that. And they have complex. I was looking at some pictures. They have some complex designs. So these what they're calling sales of gimmicky coloring books is basically declining, and it's hurting the book industry. I get a lot of unsolicited book reviews. Matter of fact, I got one back here on the floor. I don't want to grab it, but I don't do book reviews. If I read a sci-fi book and I want to do a review, I do that on Amazon, and that's the extent of it. But somebody thinks I still do book reviews. So they send me books, and I never write a review, but they keep sending me books. I donate them off to the library. But a couple of months ago, I got a book that was a coloring book. I thought it was really odd at the time, and now it kind of makes sense that these adult coloring books are a thing. So don't take me wrong. I'm not slamming it. I just didn't know that they really existed, and not being the artistic type, it's not something I go shopping for. But you may have to be going online to buy these books now because the bookstores are starting to drop them. A patent holding company's $533 million verdict against Apple is dust on appeal. basically the judges in the appeals court decided that the three patents they had were a little too broad and vacated the award. So big win for Apple on not having to write that check. Yahoo announced today that over 32 million accounts were affected using Yahoo cookies. Let me read that again. Over 32 million accounts were affected using Yahoo cookies. Yahoo forged cookies allowed intruders to access user accounts without a password. So the hits keep coming for Yahoo. I don't get it. I really don't. It goes on and on and on. President Trump has pulled the Obama administration's final FCC nominee, former Commissioner Jessica Rosenworcel. The action suggests it'll be even longer before the agency restored to its typical 5-leader status. Now, what happens is, by law, I didn't know if you guys knew this or not, federal law prevents more than 3 members of the commission from being among the same party. So the president can't fill the agency with 5-party line leaders. The president could, however, find some ideologically similar independents and nominate them, though they'd have to be approved by the Senate. So we'll see what happens here. But the FCC stuff is kind of in a free fall at this point. Slack had a vulnerability, a big one, but they closed it through a reporting system. Someone reported it to them, and they basically patched up real quick. But it was pretty nasty hack. But kudos to Slack and doing a quick turnaround and getting a patch once reported by the person that discovered the issue. Also, there's a prediction that Apple will not ditch the Lightning for the USB-C in the next iPhone. I'm not so sure. They're in for a penny, they're in for a pound. The new MacBook Pro's got the USB-C. I would not be surprised if the new iPhone makes the flip after them taking away the earbud port. But I'm sure, they'll do it at some point no matter what, and there will be anger in the streets after people have a bunch of dongles that they have to throw away. Also, the FCC partially killed rules requiring ISPs to be clear about usage caps and hidden fees. Isn't that lovely? They don't have to be clear. They can be obscure. Oh, man. So, Pi's chipping away at the transparency portion of the FCC's net neutrality rules, as well as insisting they were little more than excessive reporting obligations. The transparency requirement originally passed in 2010 required the ISPs make the following items perfectly clear when selling service to customers: price, fees, data caps, and allowances. So now they don't have to tell you the price, the fees, and the data caps or the allowances that you're given. Unbelievable. The California Supreme Court says, no, you can't hide public records on a private account. So in other words, if you're using your iPhone, personal iPhone, and you have your government email or your Gmail account, your public Gmail, or your personal Gmail account, doing emails back and forth for a government business, you still have to give up that phone. There is no right for you to say this is a privacy issue. If you're doing official business on a phone, you can't hide the public records. So this is good. This is a good ruling. It allows basically people that are filing lawsuits and stuff to get those personal phones for discovery and make those email accounts accessible so that the public's business is not hidden behind some public or some private email accounts. Uber has kowtowed to the California DMV, and they will apply for a permit in California to test its driving cars on public roads after previously butting heads. So they are going to be going back and basically asking permission. So I thought this was kind of an interesting move by Uber. Of course, they've had a lot of negative press lately, so maybe they're trying to improve their issues. Hey, another issue with the FCC. If you're getting robocalls, which I get on my cell phone, I guess they are going to try to slow that down. Good luck to that. They've never been successful. Also, Chicago Police Department is using copyright to refuse release of its 35-year-old Deadly Force training film. I think we can all agree that in Chicago, that is the specific place in Chicago is like a war zone right now. But there was a lawsuit where the individual was hoping to obtain a copy of the instructional film from the Chicago PD, and it's basically supporting some DOJ stuff. So we'll see where this goes. I'm sure it'll be appealed, but I'll have the link up in the show notes. If you live in Chicago, you probably want to keep an eye on this. Did you order the Nintendo Switch? Did you not pre-order? Well, I've got some solutions for you where you can go look to pick one of those up if you're buying one. Also, big news out of South by Southwest. Musicians are balking at a contract that warns visiting artists about deportation. Now, check this out. This is so over the top. It's unbelievable. In his contract with artists, it says, if South by Southwest determines in its sole discretion that a showcasing acts or the representative acted in a way that adversely affects the viability of their official South by Southwest showcase, the following actions are available to South by Southwest. Number one, artists will be removed from the official showcase and at South by Southwest sole option replaced. Any hotels booked via South by Southwest housing will be canceled. Artist credentials will be canceled. And listen to this. This is the big one. South by Southwest will notify the appropriate U.S. immigration authorities of the above actions. International artists entering the country through the visa waiver program with a VWP visa or any non-work visa may not perform at any public or non-sanctioned South by Southwest music festival day or night shows in Austin from March 13th to 19th. Oh. We'll see if there's outrage. Wow. South by Southwest said they will notify. I tell you, I'll be honest with you. I would have thought that I would never see language out of South. Okay, do I expect this kind of language to come out of different venues? Sure, but South by? Not in 100 years. Whoa. See what kind of steam this gets. But I thought it was like amazing. Really amazing. If any event in Texas happens where I thought there would be a pass, that would be the place. Amazing. Really amazing. Amazon began its large-scale rooftop solar installation across its warehouses. Amazon is looking to improve its renewable energy track record with a new project. They're going to start with 15 system installations in U.S. by the end of this year. Longer-term plans of putting in about 50 buildings by 2020. The 15 solar projects will generate a combined output of around 41 megawatts. Individually, one facility's solar array could provide it with additional 80%. Could provide it with around 80% of its energy needs annually. Amazon says depends on how much the sun exposure is received, what kind of insulation, and what operations the facility manages. One concrete example Amazon provides is its Patterson, California fulfillment center, with where over 75% of the building's 1.1 million square foot roof will be blanketed in solar panels, which will then help power the hundreds of Amazon sorting robotics within. So they want to be able to eventually generate 2.6 million megawatts of energy daily, which is pretty awesome. So good on Amazon. All right, let's get the show wrapped up here. I know we're a little bit long already. Thanks for my indulgence today. And for those of you that hanging out on Facebook, thanks for being here. Let's see if we've got anything in the comments. When was the last show? Today is the 2nd. I've been out a week. So let me go back and see when the last show was. The last show would have been February 20th. So that makes sense. I got an email from John. He said, hey, Todd, saw this in Barcelona today and found it interesting. People standing in line near the town center to try out and sign up for Samsung Play. Long line all day. They gave our gift baskets. So cool. So people signing up for Samsung Pay. I didn't even know that existed, to be honest with you. Of course, I'm not a Samsung mobile phone user, so I wouldn't have known that. Got an email from Michael. He says, hey, Todd, I was just listening to the show where you talked about Norton Antivirus creating mischief. He's talking about Avira. So he's using Avira as his free edition of Avcast Antivirus free editions, also AVG and Windows Defender as well. So, Mike, thanks for that email. All right, I think that's it. And I may have read Mike's email before, and if I didn't, I apologize for cutting it short there. But lots going on. You want to be an assistant? Drop me a line. I'll be doing some phone interviews soon. Be picking out someone to help us. Again, this is a part-time gig, and I want to hire from within the Ohana. I've done a lot of that in the past. Matter of fact, I formed Raw Voice from basically from this audience. So, time for me to pick from the Ohana again and find someone to. And I know several of you already have emailed me, and I'll be reaching out. But I look forward to working with one of you and helping me recover some of my very scarce hours and availability. All right, geeknews@gmail.com is the place to send your emails to. Geeknews@gmail.com. Follow me at Geek News on Twitter. Don't forget about our sponsor. Definitely take care of them by sharing my link, telling your friends and neighbors about the codes. It definitely helps keep the lights on here. I definitely appreciate it very, very much. It's been my pleasure to bring you the show, and I'll be back with you on Thursday for another edition of the Geek News. Thursday. This is Thursday. I'll be back with you on Monday for another edition of the Geek News Central podcast. Everyone, take care. We'll see you next time. Aloha.